HealthWish is a series of conversations about the state of healthcare in New York City's fabulous fifth borough, Staten Island. Our goal is to raise issues, raise awareness, and raise health. Because when we raise health, we raise everyone. 3 community leaders of Staten Island sit down for a fireside chat discussing the future of Staten Island. Join us at Historic Richmond Town as they discuss how they are striving to make Staten Island the best place to live and work. Give it a listen.
Hey Staten Island, welcome to HealthWish. I'm here with 2 amazing guests, with Vito Fosella, our Borough President.
Thank you.
And Mike Cusick, the President of the SIEDC.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you both here. And we're sitting here in this amazing location. You'd never guess you're on Staten Island, but here we are. We're at the Guy on Lake Tyson House at Historic Richmond Town. And it's really an amazing opportunity to talk about something that I know all 3 of us love very much, Staten Island. And just any thoughts on Historic Richmond Town and the opportunity for this place and how important it is to Staten Island?
I think it's most people in Staten Island, I know, came here on a school trip, and I did so as a kid many times, and it's always an experience, and you're exploring, a trip back in time. And I think that's one of the important elements of Historic Richmond Town is the way we sort of should look at life in general is, to what degree do we preserve what was good about the past, understand it, appreciate it, value it, and then how do we balance, sort of the future? And I think when you drive through Richmond Town, you get that deep-seated appreciation for our history. These little, like a farmhouse, you start to understand the families that lived here. Where was the house? How many kids? Those types of things. Because they're timeless, right? There's a truth in the timelessness of it all, where we're not so much different than people who lived here 300 years ago, but we have to live in the year 2024. And I think it's a very valuable jewel here in Staten Island, but we're still in the heart of New York City, and to the degree that we get people from other parts of the city to come here and appreciate, I think the better off we'll be.
Mike?
Yeah, the Richmond Town, like many Staten Islanders, holds a special place in my heart and our family's heart. Like Vito, I couldn't tell you how many times we've come here as school kids, and now, I have a young daughter who I'm sure will be here on a class trip one day. And to have that tradition as a Staten Islander, it's a rite of passage almost. And to echo what Vito has said, it's important for us to understand our past in order to move forward as a community. And that's why Richmond Town is one of the great jewels of Staten Island. And it's just exciting here, particularly Richmond County Fair every year. My family comes every year to it, and it really still has that homegrown feeling that Staten Island is uniquely known for.
We've shot Health Wishes at the Staten Island Museum. We've shot them here. We've shot them at the St. George Theater. And it's honestly one of my favorite things to do. And it's something that we've talked about a lot, this concept of how do you get people to stay on Staten Island, spend their travel dollar here, spend their entertainment dollar here, and reinvest it back into this community, which I think helps every single one of us. And I think it's the same whether you're talking about healthcare, whether you're talking about just straight up going to see a different kind of a thing that you wouldn't normally go to. But this concept of staying on Staten Island, I know it's something that's really important to you.
Yeah, I think if you want to look at it from a marketing point of view, you first you want to make people aware, and then you want them to sort of lean in and sort of take it to the next level. Okay, let's go check it out. What's it all about? And you just keep driving that, and once you get there, the best marketing material is word of mouth. And you sort of say, hey, you got to go down to Richmond Town, and you hit the nail on the head. And you were actually one of the first to talk to me about it, was stay on Staten Island for all those things that people feel they have to go elsewhere. And we have some of the best food, some of the best people, some of the best healthcare professionals, and obviously cultural attractions. This house is named after the Guy on Lake and Tyson's, each of which have a name on Staten Island: Guy on Avenue, Tyson's Lane. So there is an integration of the history and our desire to keep it. I want to thank people who had the wisdom and foresight years ago to say we should keep this, because it could easily gone the scrap heap or found its way into your garage with all the other wood. You have inside joke, but
it's an inside joke because I collect old things. Right. I can't help myself. If I see something old, I somehow find a home for it.
In your garage.
usually in a garage that I eventually try to find something for, and I get made fun of by my wife and the rest of my family. But yeah, that's the joke. I love old things.
But it's across, we have things across Staten Island, Snug Harbor to the zoo, out to Conference House Park, and everywhere in between. We like to call ourselves the Borough Park. So with 10,000 acres of parkland, about 27% of our land is open space. So you can hike. And again, I keep throwing the line out to people in other parts of the city. If you live in Manhattan, you're from another part of the world, let alone this country, and you want to go on a 3 or 5 hour hike, you can come across the ferry, and before you know it, you're in one of the largest parks in the United States. So there's a lot to offer here, and we just want to be a champion to the extent that we can.
So Mike, staying on Staten Island.
Yep, it's something that I live by, right? I've lived here all my life. I love this place. And I feel that I play a role as a cheerleader, that when I was in elective office, that was my role. I chose to take the position I have now because I feel that I want other people to know what a great place Staten Island is, and what a great place it is to raise a family, and just what a unique opportunity you have being so close to the city. And in my role at the SIEDC, what we're trying to do is not only attract new businesses, but to get people to stay on Staten Island, right? To live here, work here, and we say thrive here, right? And that is what we try to espouse to people, that you're not going to find a better place, particularly in New York City, than Staten Island.
I think one of the neatest things about Staten Island for me that I didn't fully appreciate, frankly, until probably the last several years, was the opportunities outdoors, right? You brought it up, Vito. It's like the ability to take a several mile hike or to really get a sense of this. And the person who really first kind of exposed me to outdoor Staten Island was actually Jim Kenny, who's the associate chair in the emergency department. We started doing a wilderness day where we would take residents out in emergency medicine and actually show them how to do these different things in the woods as part of their training for what they would know how to do if somebody was hurt. And I'm walking around this, and we're walking around High Rock, and I'm like, my God, this is incredible. And it kind of leads into the concept of health, right? Health isn't just about having a place to go to when you're unhealthy, when you are feeling sick, when there's something significantly wrong, although those things are really important. At the end of the day, the hospitals in a community are, if they're not the most important buildings in the community, they're some of the most important buildings in the community. But health is so much more than that, right? Health is about access to healthy foods, about access to places that are going to make you a solid meal. It's about being able to go outside and walk steps. There's really good data now that suggests if you walk over 10,000 steps a day, you're going to live longer. There's amazing places to go here where you can actually do those things.
I think one of the elements of a healthy lifestyle, at least in Staten Island, is access to so many different parks. We actually go on a regular walk through Great Kills. We leave our house, and to Crooks Point, it's a 5-mile walk, door to door. And we loved it. And I think a lot of people, if there was a positive out of COVID, it was how many people experienced the outdoors on Staten Island. We walk through High Rock, not every day, but almost every day as something to do. And you saw a lot of people walking through these parks that never even knew they existed. So I think that's something we should continue to promote. And if I had a spot that it's more out of convenience, but it's beautiful. You look over, Great Kills Harbor on a nice day at sunset. You think you're out in Long Island or California somewhere, or Florida, but it's right here in our backyard. And that's the stuff I want to keep banging the drum. It's right here in our backyard.
Agreed. Mike?
Yeah, and that's important. Well, they're all my favorite. I just sounded like a politician again, but yes. But I go back and forth sometimes, But the Greenbelt, I would say, is where I spend the most time, right? I'm a runner. I like to run. I love the trails. The trails, the parks, everything that we provide here on Staten Island is part of the healthcare system in a way, right? Because we should be focusing, and I know Staten Island University Hospital does, because we've partnered with you with our healthcare conference, and it's about wellness. It's about promoting healthy living amongst our residents here, and that's, I think, our natural resources here in Staten Island.
If somebody out there is like, I want to take a walk somewhere that's beautiful and I don't have a lot of time, go down to Fort Wadsworth, park your car up top, casually walk all the way down to the bottom, and then try to vigorously walk back up. The whole thing will take you 18, 20 minutes, which frankly is what you need for heart health, right? And it's beautiful. You're going to see an old fort that's just and it's majestic. So just an idea of what you might want to do.
As somebody who grew up right outside Fort Wadsworth, and we used to sneak in when we were kids and be chased by the military police. That's a story for another day. But that's a gem, right? You just start thinking about when the Verrazano Bridge wasn't there, and this was the port of entry for 400 plus years. Just fascinating, and to again walk back in time like you do here in Richmond Town. But the other is that we have our natural resources, but in order to make things better, we always are looking for ways to adapt. When I was a kid, Michael's a lot older than I am, and it shows, nobody played soccer for the most part, right? Everybody either played baseball, football, basketball. And then along came in the 90s, thousands of kids played soccer, but we had very few soccer fields on Staten Island. And there was a demand. So over time, you had to begin to invest in new soccer fields like we have at Arthur Kill Road. Now the big sport among people above a certain age is pickleball, right? So we have to find ways in which we can meet that need so you can keep getting people, not just for a walk in the park, but to play. And get them at the earliest age possible so that they develop a lifelong love of outdoors, of exercise. And again, that's consistent with the message of a healthy community. And I would say this about Staten Island. You see other cities around the country, upstate New York, for example. You see them continually decrease the number of people who live in those cities. Staten Island continues to grow, right? So the best indicator of a desire to be here is people keep wanting to come here. And that means you got to keep giving the people good schools, again, good outdoors. And staying on Staten Island means allow them to enjoy their families, allow them to have opportunities to succeed so they can open a business. And Mike has been doing a great job as head of the SIEDC to promote the good. Right? It's easy to focus on negative, right? You run a great institution, Staten Island University Hospital. If you got caught up in focusing on the negative every day, you go out of your mind. But then you take a step back and think of how many great nurses and doctors and people who care, they're compassionate, and he does the same thing. And the most important thing is we have to do it as a team, right? Everybody wants to think they may have to stay in their own lane. It never works. Great decisions have always been made by great partnerships. And I think that's an added element we have on Staten Island, that people are so close to each other that our desire is to make it better for everybody. And that's what we have to just keep on doing.
Join us next time as we continue the fireside chat at Historic Richmond Town with Dr. Brahim Ardolic, Borough President Vito Fosella, and President of the SIEDC, Mike Cusick. Recorded at the Guy and Lake Tyson House in Historic Richmond Town. We're very interested in your health wish. Contact us at healthwish@northwell.edu. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again soon.